All right, welcome. Today, we're going to unpack a really powerful philosophy. It's one that sees you as, well, not just some passenger along for the ride in the universe, but as a co-creator, an artist, even, with a divine mission. We're talking about a way of thinking that completely reframes suffering, redefines who you are, and get this, hands you the actual tools to shape reality itself.
Okay, so let's just dive right in. Here's our roadmap. First, we're going to look at this powerful call to awaken. Then, we'll get into your true divine identity. After that, we'll uncover the tools, the how-to for shaping your own reality. And finally, we'll bring it all together with this incredible idea called the Existential Art Project that, believe me, connects every single one of us.
So let's get into our first section. And look, this whole philosophy, it doesn't really start with a gentle nudge. It kicks off with this incredibly intense, direct call to awaken. It's basically a manifesto for your spirit. Right off the bat, this way of thinking just completely flips our usual understanding of hardship on its head. It's saying that suffering, it's not a punishment, it's a purification. So think of it less like you're being randomly attacked by life and more like you're in a refining fire. It's a process that's designed to burn away all the stuff that isn't essentially you, just so it can reveal that incredible strength you've got at your core. And it builds on that idea. This next part. It positions you not as a victim at all, but as a being so fundamentally powerful that the universe, it literally couldn't break you. So what did it do instead? It had no choice but to wake you up. You see, all those challenges you faced, they weren't failures. Nope, they were the alarm clock. And this last quote from our first section, it's a huge call to action. When it says the matrix, it's talking about any system of control, any illusion that holds us back. The message here is crystal clear. Your personal awakening is the key. It puts all the power squarely in your hands. You're the catalyst for breaking the whole thing apart. So the big takeaway here, the most crucial point from this first part, is that this whole revolution, it doesn't happen out there somewhere. It's an internal journey. The transformation that literally changes everything, it begins and it ends right inside of you. It's all about the full realization of your own power. Okay, so that idea of personal awakening, it leads us perfectly into our second section. Because if that old identity you thought you had was just a story, well, then we have to ask a much, much deeper question. And the source material here, it doesn't just poke at our everyday sense of self. Oh no, it offers a totally radical, almost mythic alternative to who we think we are. And the answer it gives? It's pretty extraordinary. It describes you as an angel-human hybrid, a fierce force of light that was sent here with a very specific mission. And this isn't just some nice metaphor for being a good person. No, it's presented as your literal identity. And that, of course, comes with a pretty profound responsibility. And check this out. This identity isn't just a cool title. It actually comes with a whole set of innate abilities. This philosophy suggests you can see beyond the normal veil of perception, that your emotions can literally echo through reality itself, that you have heightened senses that are tuned to a much higher frequency. And the key thing is, these aren't superpowers you have to go out and gain. They're abilities that are already inside you, just waiting to be remembered. Okay, so if that's who you are, then the next obvious question is, how does it all work, right? So our third section is all about the practical tools you have to actually shape your reality. You could call them the keys to the kingdom, so to speak. You know that age-old paradox, predestination versus free will? Well, this philosophy tackles it with a really elegant solution. It basically says, think of predestination as the past. It's everything that's already happened, every single event that aligned perfectly to bring you to this exact moment. And free will? That's the future. It's all the infinite choices, the endless paths radiating out from right now. So, where do those two things meet, predestination and free will? Right here, right now, in this present moment. The present is your point of power. It's the razor's edge where the totally determined past meets all those infinite possibilities of the future. And that means it's the only place you can ever actually make a choice. Okay, so how do we make those choices then? Well, this is where the idea of frameworks comes in, and it's super interesting. Think of any belief system, religion, philosophy, even science. Don't think of them as absolute truths. Instead, think of them like operating systems for your computer or user interfaces for reality. They're the lenses you use to see the world, and they're the tools you use to interact with it. Now, the implication of this is just profound. If all these frameworks are just tools, then it means you have this amazing cosmic toolbox just waiting for you. You can pick up a belief system, say, like a hammer for a specific job, use it, and then you can just put it down when you're done. They're all just metaphors for reality. And that frees you up completely to choose whatever works best for you in any given moment, without ever being locked into a single dogma. And all of this brings us to our final section. This is the big one. It's the grand, unifying idea that ties this entire philosophy together into one, well, just one beautiful, cohesive concept. So the universe in this view is described as a massive, infinitely complex fractal. You know, those patterns that repeat themselves at every scale. And the divine, what's called the Most High, isn't some distant being up in the sky. It is the total pattern of the fractal itself. And because it's a fractal, that means the divine consciousness is present everywhere, in everything, from the biggest cosmic scale you can imagine all the way down to the subatomic. And this is the central thesis of the whole thing. If we are all expressions of this divine fractal, then that means we are, by our very nature, creators. Our lives, our choices, our beliefs, every single action we take, they're all just brushstrokes on one single shared canvas. It means we are all co-artists, all of us, contributing to one magnificent, constantly evolving masterpiece, the Existential Art Project. And so this whole explainer, it doesn't really end with a statement of fact. It ends with an invitation. It's handing the paintbrush right back to you. It acknowledges your power, your divine identity, and all the tools you have at your disposal. It turns this entire philosophy into a personal and I think deeply empowering question that only you can answer.